talking at the same
you're
time.
doing it. Wait,
Welcome.
okay.
Yeah, this is a great way to start. You know,
that was not good.
That's it. That's how you can tell we didn't really coordinate before this. But anyway,
But then we
one
spent
bank.
an hour together.
Yeah, well, you could say you spent an hour. It's more of we just sat there and talked about nonsense. But anyway,
True.
into the game. We're on bank, rebuild MSG. Both teams undefeated so far. And the first ban we're going to see is a Ying. And in this prediction from the casters, I'm pretty sure a 50-50 split so far on who we think is going to win between them. Because obviously, but they're both undefeated. So we don't really... It's really what you mentioned earlier. It's a coin flip on who we think is going to win. But you have edged towards Rebuild because you said that I'm going to expose you here. You said that the mistakes that Mindset has made are greater than the ones Rebuild has made, and we'll see throughout the game. Oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah, I said that, and I stand by that. I think both teams, they won their games, but I do believe that actually Rebuild won all the way into overtime, and MSG won it 7-5. So neither team really won without any opposition. So both teams made some mistakes, and I do think that the ones that Rebuild were making were slightly like lesser and more easily fixed than the one that MSG were making. I think MSG were just getting a little bit too aggressive, maybe a little bit too cocky for their current position. But, I could be entirely wrong. Rebuild could, start to falter here against MSG, or MSG could, have completely, they could have looked back at their VOD from that game and then decided, okay, that we got, we brought that a little bit too close for comfort. Let's just, avoid that completely. But I guess we'll have to see. And the first round is beginning here on the basement defense for Rebuild, which I assume is going to be pretty strong for them just because of the nature of the map.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing them go for an extension into open area, which I'm not really too surprised about because, of course, it is a pinnacle of the defense. You really want to hold on to it for as long as you can, but having the hatches open as well will allow you to rotate back towards the site if you do take a little bit too much pressure there. So yeah, there is that option, and operator lineup as well. I'm not really too surprised here. We've got some roaming potential with your Oryx, with your Alibi. So it seems like they're maybe going for a bit of an aggressive roam here, as we're seeing them setting up on the top floor. On the other side as well, on MSG, we're seeing them with a really nice strategy. We're bringing your Lion, bringing your Dokkaebi, going to be keeping and locating these defenders before striking with the likes of the Amaru.
Yeah, that definitely could be a bit of trouble here for Rebuild if they're not careful, but so far, no contention. They have been droning out this top floor so far. I don't think that they've really spotted out Nelson, or I think that they are going to start to be onto him here. And now with more of these drones coming in and with that repelling operators as well. He does get spotted out, shoots that drone, manages to get away, but those Lion scans are coming out as well, exposing his position further on, and he's getting a little bit stuck here inside of the elevator. That Bailiff not doing him any favors, and Aki could be going here for a little bit of a prediction, and he does. He knows he's going to push up those stairs. They're going to be at the bottom of those stairs, and Aki picks up the first kill onto Nelson. That's the Oryx off the board, and that roam is being cut at the roots here for Rebuild, especially as those hatches are getting opened up as well. Maiko now having to work overtime to try and keep them at bay from advancing further down to the site.
Yeah, but they've still got quite a little bit of opposition, of course, keeping onto open area, but well, that is going to be fruitless, it seems to be the case, as they're starting to open up above him now. He's going to have to be really careful where he positions. And of course, as we saw earlier as well, we saw Mako start to run away, and well, Hodgson, he's not in a good position, but of course, he's next to that hatch. It's an easy rotation back towards the site. Half the round's gone, yes, but already they've got so much control, and they've got control of these hatches which they can open up in quick time. Of course, even if there was a Kaid, you've got Thatcher on the board, you've got these EMPs as well, and I have to say, the drone economy on the side of MSG is looking pretty good for this late into the round. Of course, depending on whether they'll be able to use these drones, that is another question. And well, with 55 seconds, they're going to start to plan their final execute onto the site.
And we've said it before, information is absolutely key in Siege, and there's going to be a bit of an information game here between the drone utility still and the Valkyrie as well, but Aki picks up another one. There goes Nordis with his first. and it's a 2 versus 5 here for the remaining defenders. They're going to have to try and deny not only the remaining players that are flooding the site, but also going to have to try and deny that plant. They will not be denying the plant. It will go down as Siberia takes down Hudson. It's all down to Archive inside of the lockers. As the B site can't really do anything, and it's Siberia to pick up the final one. It's a flawless round to start the match off for MSG.
Oh, you see, this is why I predicted MSG to win, because I just love the way they play. Like, we saw them have such a good roam clear there. We saw the entry frag winning that gunfight, catching the Oryx by surprise, and from there, they're starting to pinch and converge, and all the remaining defenders forcing them back to the side. And by that time, it's too late. They're pushing from so many angles. They're winning the gunfights. And like we saw, it was flawless. Of course, we're going to be seeing a rebuild try in a different site now, going towards open area. Of course, that's the area that we're holding on to in the last round. The question is, will they be able to pull something off that was better in the previous round? I think so. I think there is a possibility that they've got the capability. As we said earlier, both teams undefeated thus far. So it's, I don't know, it's a toss-up, as I can't really predict who would win a single round. Of course, we're only one round in, so it wouldn't really matter anyway.
Yeah, it truly is way too early to tell. And, you know, even if either of these, obviously one of these teams is going to lose the game today, there are no ties. But even the team that loses, it's still not all over. And it doesn't really say much about their performance, because whichever team wins is like, okay, well, they are the undefeated team. They're the team that haven't lost to anybody. And, well, you were just another victim. So it's not really so much about how badly you did, but just about how just beautifully the other team played, and there's a reason why they're the undefeated team. So it's still quite a bit of a feat for both of these teams to remain undefeated all the way into round 4. I mean, that's a really long time to remain undefeated. The only team that matches that is 5 Stars, that throughout the open qualifiers went undefeated throughout all 5 rounds. And then pushed it into round 1 of the close qualifiers as well. Lost in round 2, and now they are no longer the undefeated team.
All right, so it's been Aki on the book, already starting to move his way upstairs. Of course, there is the player quite close by, tucked. Of course, that will be the Malusi Mako, but the whoop whoop's going to now sound. He's going to go for the swing, and it was a bit of a, I'm going to say it was a interesting decision to keep pushing there. Of course, yeah, it's already sounded, but at that point, I don't know. I feel like not droning that, or what? Even if they did drone it, just like, you need to be playing better than that, because losing your book so early on, especially when they're playing in a site where there's so much soft destructibility available, it's not really great. Of course, it can be replaced. You've got the breaching charges on all that's on the Ash that can follow it up instead. And, well, we're now starting to see the remaining attackers of Mindset start to move the way. Frostmat's going to be getting destroyed, but the gunshots will alert the members of Rebuild as to the location of some of the attackers on the top floor. Mako finds a second onto the round, onto Hoax. Your Thatcher's down, and it's a 3 versus 5 with a minute and 15 seconds left, and Siberia isn't in a good place.
And he's even in a worse place now as Archive finds the kill onto him. Mamsu finally finds a kill onto Rebuild, but there's so much work still left for them to do. The diffuser is cold and on the ground for the remaining 2 attackers. Archive is going to try and rotate away, but Mamsu will find him on the rotate, making these numbers a little bit more favorable for Rebuild, but it's still so much work. As I said, the diffuser is still cold and on the ground. That time is dwindling away, and they've only got their ace with those helmet charges and the Ash still in pocket. There's still quite a lot of utility left with these operators, but there's so much of this defense for them to break down, and not really enough time to do it in. They're going to try and find out as much information as possible. Those Wubwubs or Malusi's Banshees are going to be quite a bit of trouble as well as that Pulse is going to be able to spot them out wherever they're coming from, and is going to be able to find them. Even without that C4, he still had the C4 in the pocket of Charlie J, who is at the bottom of these marble stairs, and he will be finding the kill onto the ace. It's all down to Nordis now. Make that nothing as Charlie J finds 2 to end the round. Rebuild follow up the loss of the first round with a win of their own, equalize the scoreline at 1-1.
Hey, Charlie J, if you just don't know, that's my former teammate from a couple of years ago. He was never he never really played Smoke Mute or anything. He was always a Yash Jaeger main, but you know what? It's a breath of fresh air to see him on a different role and still getting picks. Because I know how much potential he has. I mean, just look at that champion charm. That tells you a lot. I mean, it doesn't really nowadays. If you really think about it, anyone can get champion, but me. But anyway, yeah, we're moving into round 3. And like I said, the analogy that you made that I've already mentioned, that coin toss, it's showing again, because that round was a lot more dominant for Rebuild. The first round was obviously extremely dominant for Mindset. But I feel like we're going to be teeter-tottering back and forth on who keeps winning these rounds by the look of it so far. Of course, we're only 2 rounds in. But, I mean, who can tell? They're going to be trying the basement site once again, same setup. Of course, last time it did get picked apart. I mean, they've got a Goyo this time, so that could potentially help them out. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know, honestly. It's so interesting when you can't really have a solid prediction on who's going to win, purely because of, well, the fact that you don't really see many mistakes in both teams.
Yeah, it's really tough to tell, like, which team is, like, objectively worse. I think that's the way that a lot of people, a lot of the time, do make their prediction. It's like, okay, well, this team is just objectively weaker, For example, like, when we were first coming into round 1 of close qualifiers, and of course, Mindset Gaming were invited by the organization, being that tier 3 team, so being, a little bit more experienced in the esport and everything. A lot of people, just were betting on them strictly from the point of view of, okay, well, they're the T3 team. They're supposed to be winning these games. But now we've reached a point where, that really doesn't mean all that much anymore. It's really just about the way that they play and the way that they adapt to each other. And I think what we're going to find here, at least in the first half of Rebuild defense, I think we're going to find that it's going to come down to whether Rebuild are able to hold on to their roam and be effective with it. Because in the first round they weren't, in the second round they were, and I think it's going to come down to whether they can keep up that roam to be strong and to deny as much of Mindset's push as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, well, just thinking to this round now, the amount of progress that the Mindset have made this far is less than the last time, of course. They've not been able to find any pictures yet, but, well, that is purely because of the fact that, that the members of Rebuild aren't roaming as heavily. They're still roaming, of course. They need to hold on to open area for as much time as possible again, because, of course, it's such a crucial position as well of Archives to defend it. But, well, yeah, no picks being found, and as soon as I say that, of course, it's the caster's curse. Siberia finds the first one onto Hodgson. Open area should be secured for now. Of course, they still have to, Mako still needs to be dealt with, and he finds a pick of his own onto Nordes, and still, he's holding this down like he's a rock. He does not want to move. He's willing to risk his life, it seems, in order to slow down the time, and, well, his life has been lost. For that. A minute left, they've got the man advantage, they can start to open up the hatch and potentially go for this final execute once again. It seems like deja vu.
It definitely seems like deja vu, but I think, the time is a lot lower on the count than it was previously, and Rebuild still have a lot of these crucial positions in their pocket, but as Aki finds the kill onto Charlie J, a lot of that advantage that they might have still been able to hold on to is dwindling away. They're going to be blowing up these Vulcan canisters to try and deny as much of this area as possible, as well as to slow them down even more. But with 30 seconds to go and 4 attackers still remaining, I think this is going to be a little bit easier of a round than it seemed to be just a little bit ago. 20 seconds now, and they're sort of stalling a little bit. Still, that fire denying them entry into the site. Lion Scan's coming out, and they're already in sight as they drop the hatch. There goes the kill onto Nelson. The plant will be going down, but they can't really get it off because of the fire. Mamsu pushing away. Hoax will be going for that plant, and Siberia will be shutting down Archive with that DMR. Another round going down to MSG, but this one was a little bit closer for Rebuild. I don't think they quite crumbled the way that they did the first time around. Yeah,
they still managed to find one pick, and it was looking good for them originally, of course. But it crumbled yet again. And it seems like that site is just not, it's not good for them at the moment. And I think when you've got someone like Siberia on that Dokkaebi finding these picks with that beautiful DMR, it's going to really put some troubles in your way. And, well, they're going to be going for that top 4 defense for the first time thus far within these onto the 4th round. And, well, last time they went from the basement site to a new site, they ended up winning. Will that be the case again? We'll just have to. We'll see. We'll see in a moment. Once again, though, I'm liking the operators that they're bringing. We're seeing the Azami getting brought, which of course can add some barriers in the way that they'll need to remove throughout the round. As well as your Castle Hodgson, he's been on that operator all the time. It's just nice to see because I feel like he can be so influential for this site, especially because, well, The front of the map, the lobby area. Of course, there aren't as many windows anymore, but even still, just getting shot from them is it's disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, that it's somewhat of a window repel, not quite as bad as Consulate, which praise the Lord is getting reworked come next season, but it's still really really dangerous to be playing anywhere on the front side of the map because of those windows. So bringing the castle, and even without the windows, he's still really really strong on most maps and on most sites. And I feel like he's really undervalued for how important he can be. He can shut down a lot of areas. He can shut down a lot of lines of sight. So he can be very, very useful. And speaking of shutting down areas and being very, very useful, is the Brava that we see Nordis bringing and already making quick work of taking control of a lot of those cameras that are originally in the defenses.
What I really love about
control.
that. Oh, sorry, yeah, but
No,
I was gonna say, yeah, what I really love about those cameras especially is it's gonna allow the attackers to potentially move their way up in those locations without being spotted. Of course, if you had a member coming in from the basement and starting to go up those stairs, well, that camera is going to be less useful for you now, of course, as it is now in the control of the attackers. And whilst it is wasting a bit of time, like a minute and 10 seconds is already gone, and he's not started to move in the building, you can still influence from elsewhere, as he's still outside, still taking control of these defender gadgets, and, well, depleting the defender's utility as a whole. And, yeah, it's just something that I'd like to continue to see later in the round, and, well, the attacking starting now to open up those reinforced walls, but like I mentioned earlier, the Azami's coming in great use, blocking that hole off, and, well, the line of sight that they would have had has now been blocked.
Yeah, as I spoke about Castle is really, really good at denying a lot of those lines of sight and a lot of that area. And, Azami, when she came in, she is able to do a lot of that as well. And that is a perfect example of doing that, is because that wall being opened is a massive, massive line of sight from all the way up on those windows, and it cuts off the entire hallway here outside of the stockroom. So if Nelson would try to push out from the door, he would almost definitely get shot from that window. But with that Kiba barricade being on that wall, it's not going to allow him that. And Hudson finds the first one onto Momsu. It's the Castle versus the Habana, a classic duel. And there goes Aki finding one onto Maiko. That's the trade. And it is the Azami gone with, I think, still a couple Kibas left in pocket as well. So a little bit of that utility is going to be wasted. Hudson here holding on to those windows. I don't think that Hoax is going to be giving him anything, at least for now. But look at that time. They've only got 30 seconds. They haven't really gained enough control of the map or the site to be able to do anything. But as Siberia finds one at the Charlie J, they might just have that control. As Hoax pushes at the side, but he gets shut down from Hudson. Hudson being absolutely crucial so far in this round. So many more shots coming out. The diffuser is lost in sight. Siberia does pick it up. All of the attackers flood sight. It's down to the defenders to try and deny this. The plant is going down. Siberia will get it down in time. Nordis finds the kill onto Hudson, finally shutting that player down. And oh my goodness, Nordis finding just a couple more to end the round. Wow. Wow.
I was gonna praise Rebuild's positioning throughout that last whole minute. Like they were stood so stoic, they weren't being budged by mindset. But it's just that flood. The waves came for them and they drowned. Rebuild got absolutely destroyed in those last 10 seconds. It was a round that seemed that would have been theirs. It seems like it was their round, it seemed, but it was just Brava Nordis just absolutely just holding that down, protecting that plant, and it gives them the round. And of course, they're now guaranteed with 3 in the split, which is, I'd say, ideal for them at this stage. It's quite an even map. I'd say it's usually a 3-3 in my experience of casting anyway. And once again, they're going to be going to open area, the one site that they have won so far, hoping to replicate that. But I'm not sure. Like the mistakes that they've been making so far, it might just be too much. But I'm holding out hope that they can fix this up, start to get some rounds on the board, and potentially, of course, stay undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, I would really love to see Rebuild try and pull this back, but a problem that I'm seeing for them right now is, for the vast majority of the players, is they are not able to either win those one-on-one engagements, or they are, as a whole, as a team, not in place for each other to get those trades. Trades are so so important in Siege that, you know, if you get swung from one area, there needs to be a teammate nearby who is able to get the trade out on that kill. So it's like, okay, you died, but he got the trade, and there goes Siberia picking up the first one onto Archive. Are they going to be there for a refrag to equalize the man count? I don't know, and I don't think so, and that is a massive, massive problem because it leaves them in a mad disadvantage time and time again, and we saw it there in that final minute, is that they were not in a good position to get those trades for each other, and it was a bloodbath that they lost. But Maiko here on top of these stairs, he went nuclear here before. Can he do it again here against the same player as before? He's chancing it, but he's going to be pulling back away. He can't really be as aggressive as he was last time, as he doesn't have his teammate for support. But the Buck is still challenging that position, and it's just a stalemate here, or at least a little bit, which is good for Rebuild because they're wasting time. But if they waste another player, then it's really going to be trouble. Maika, that's why I wanted to Siberia, though. That's really, really good opening. Finally getting the refrag goal. It took them a minute, but Mamsu is there. This is exactly what I was talking about. Is the Rebuild isn't there for the trades, but Mindset is. Whenever they lose a player, they've traded out, and Rebuild down a man again.
So 3 versus 5 already, and why? Oh, sorry, 3 versus 4. Sorry, I didn't see Siberia fell. I was going to praise Siberia again because on the DMR he's been so efficient. You know who else is efficient? Charlie J, playing the shotgun SMG combo on the mute. Yet again, he's able to find picks, bringing it all even. A minute left on the clock. They're going to have to start to prepare for this execute very soon. And, well, they've got that soft breach capability. It's a really good final 3 lineup, I'd say, for the execute to come in. The wall has now been, well, denied of the mute jammers, and it can start to be opened up by the ace by Mamsu. And, well, time's still ticking, but the remaining members of Rebuild don't have to do much at the moment. They're just going to hold on and play their lives and wait for this push to come into them. Other than Charlie J, of course. The monkey, the swinger, he's going to be doing what he likes to do. And while the pings are coming out as well, locating the Azami. Sorry, not Azami, that was Oryx. I've just gone blind, and while the spray will follow Mamsu taking out Nelson, and well, they now control onto the site, potentially, if they want to go for it now. Charlie J's going to have to try and make his way back as Aki finds Hodgson, and it's all on him in a 1 versus 3. Can he do it? He's found one so far. He's going for the spray onto the second, manages to get the injure. C4 to confirm. But he does get shot out of the air. Hoke's going for the plant now. He's going to have to try and go for a rotate, but will they know that he's coming? It seems like that is potentially the case. He misses the shots. Mamsu picks him up, and Mindset put yet another round on the board, and just they're all over them at the moment. And the thing, like you mentioned, the refrags aren't there, and it's their biggest mistake throughout this game so far.
Yeah, that is by far the biggest mistake. I was talking, you know, we spoke about it earlier, right at the beginning, about why I chose to pick Rebuild as the as you know for my prediction and as the winner of that match, and I said that they weren't making as great mistakes as MSG, at least in the matches that we've seen of them so far, and I do believe that rang true all throughout the qualifiers that we've seen so far of them, but at this one, this is just really, really bad showcase of them not making mistakes, or of them not making great mistakes, because to not be there for the trades is a big mistake. And another mistake that I'm noticing sort of not really necessarily from the players, but more from their support staff, is their coach not calling for a timeout, because this is a glaring issue that it can be rectified. They just need to be notified of it. They just need to be made aware of it. And that is, you know, when you're down this many rounds, I think, you know, when they were about down to 3-1, at that point, is when their coach should have, you know, because that is when it really started becoming obvious that this is what their problem is. I mean, we spoke about it, is when their coach should have pulled the timeout and said, okay, guys, you're not there for the trades, you're not positioning yourself well enough in these situations, and you need to fix that. And I think letting it go on for a little bit longer and forcing it to go to a 2-4 split, which is going to be really undesirable for them as they go into the attacking half on a defender-sided map, is going to hurt them, even if they have that, you know, timeout still in pocket for later on.
And something I've noticed just within T4 and a lot of the teams, they just forget that they have this incredible piece of utility at hand, and they've not used this timeout, and it could absolutely benefit them gratefully, but no. Not used it yet. Seems like they won't use it yet at all, sorry. And well, Hodgson is going to be able to find the first pick onto Aki. That's the book off the board already, so your soft breach capability is, well, diminished for the most part. You still have Hoax with the breaching charges, but will that be enough? I'm not too sure. Once again, we're seeing Siberia, however, on that rappel, trying to find another pick. Nordis is going to take some damage. Mamtu takes a lot of damage and does fall for it. And Hodgson, that's 3 for him so far. He's on an absolute tear. And will he be able to get away with his life? It seems so. There's no one there to collect him. Hoax and Nordis are elsewhere on this rappel. I don't know the location of Hoax at the moment. It seems like he's on the other side of the map, but no, he's inside. He's able to find one onto Maiko. And, well, you still get your hard breacher, you still got your denial, so they should be able to potentially bring this back. But, I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful masterclass from Hodgson there, just with the finding these picks, and seems like Hoax is going to try to pull it back. Does he know of the location of Archives? It seems like he didn't, but he got the peak, he got the swing, and he manages to flick onto his head. And what seems like a done deal for Rebuild so far is starting to get pulled back towards a more even sided round. And, well, they've got a lot of work to do, but they could still bring this back.
They could still bring this back, but Hodgson's still in play with that pulse scanner, is able to find them, and it knows exactly where they're going to be pushing from. There's still a C4 in pocket for Nelson as well, so that could be doing some damage come later on. At this point, it's coming down to being able to win those engagements, should they come to them, which it definitely will. I doubt that Mindset are just going to let this go without, at least an attempt at a gunfight later on. But 30 seconds to go. They've split apart. Nordis pushing in from Garage. Hoax on this window will be getting challenged by Nelson first and foremost. 20 seconds to go. I think Hoax is just waiting for Nordis to be in position. Charlie J swings onto Nordis, finds the kill, and it's all down to Hoax. Jumps into the window, and it's Nelson with the swing to find the kill, find the round. Finally, for Rebuild, they put themselves a little bit closer here, but it's a 2-4 split as they're moving onto the attacking half. And I mean, it might be one of those days when Bank is just more attacker-sided than it is defensive-sided, but it's going to be a lot of work here for Rebuild to bring this back.
You could say they are starting to rebuild themselves.
There it is.
Yep, I'm here all day. I'm not here all day. I'm here until this game is done. But defensive side now for Mindset, of course, and we're going to see if Rebuild are better on their attack than they were at defending. They still managed to get 2 rounds, which is, it's all right. It's not great, it's not ideal, but they can still work with it. Of course, to get this victory, 5 rounds is what they need. Well, unless they want to go to overtime, of course, which, well, no team really does. But you mentioned in your prediction that you think it will go to overtime. So, and honestly, by the looks of it, we'll have to see how Rebuild play on their attack. If they do well on their first 2 attacking rounds, I could see it happening too. But, of course, we're still a long way away from that possibility. It seems like a very similar lineup for the defense. Aki is on that go, and we saw how good it is at just denying the area for a long period of time. They've got an Echo this time, Mamsu, obviously, so there's no castle, and they're bringing a Jaeger, which we didn't see at all either, if I do remember correctly. But it's a lot of denial, so they're expecting the plant to come in. They're going to be playing a little bit more conservative for the most part than we saw the defensive Rebuild, but will it work out?
I also wonder that, and yeah, that Echo play could be proven really, really strong come later on. But as you said, they were playing a little bit more conservatively for the most part. Yeah, other than Nordis playing inside of open area, who could be doing a little bit of damage here if he doesn't get spot out, and Hoax playing with the shield. This is a pretty default strategy from a little while ago. It really doesn't get brought up that much anymore, in sort of recent times. But there goes a C4 blown up from Aki? Yeah, that must have been Aki with the C4. I don't even know how they did that. But C4 blows up, doesn't find the kill onto Michael, but it does do a lot of damage. He's now at only about a bullet's worth of HP to battle for the rest of the round. But he is still alive, so the man count remains the same. And Rebuild are in a bit of a better position. Siberia here with those cameras, trying to find out anybody coming in from Garage as the drones are coming into the rest of the map. Oh no, what?
Oh, I thought he got misdroned, but he decided to fall back. But no, Siberia's still there contesting. I'm not sure if Archive knows that he's playing on them stairs. of course, they are starting to push the way down, so they should be able to potentially, maybe if he's walked a little bit too far, get his feet and scan him out and find out his location and take him out that way. But he's going to be taking a lot of damage from down below the hatch. And looking at the HP remaining on the side of Rebuild, it's not looking too good. Two of your members on about 20 or 30 HP, and a minute left on the clock. Every member is still alive. Hodgson is joining that club of having very low HP. I think it was a breach charge of his of his own. Oh no, of Charlie that does take down his health. And well, an engagement. They're going to have to get these headshots. They're going to have to shoot before the members of Mindset if they want to win out these gunfights. And well, the attack's starting to come in now. The Echo drone is starting to bring its way out and disorient the remaining, all the members remaining of Rebuild. And 40 seconds, they've got the hatches open, they've got the potential to go for this execute, and Aki is going to be the first one to find the pick onto Hodgson. The man who was so proficient in that previous round on the pulse on his defensive side is now fallen, and whether the man count is in favour of MSG, they're going to be starting to converge their way down these stairs, trying to get these angles, but Siberia is holding strong inside a garage. A potential crossfire that could be made from the remaining members, from the members of Mindset, is still at hand. And well, it seems like it's going to be a rush, which I haven't seen a lot in a while. Siberia, like I mentioned, he's playing in there, he's finding the picks. Charlie J does get one back, bringing it to a 3 versus 4, starting to make the way free. Archive finds one of his own, and all of a sudden it's all even, but they're going to have to get the plant down. Hoax finds one with that shotgun. The plant's going down, should be able to get denied by this Echo drone if it's in position. Siberia finds one. Can they get Charlie J? He's in a 1 versus 3. He's in a very difficult situation, and he's going to be going for the swing on the first. He's bringing out his pistol now. He's in such a perilous position, and he's going to find the pick onto him. It was unwinnable, I'd say, when you've got so many angles for the members of Mindset to push, and that brings them to 5-2. Just 2 rounds from closing out the game.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Javi? Why did you spin him around like that? That was terrifying.
I think that's a glitch.
Oh my God.
Is it a glitch?
I don't think it's a glitch. No, when you're regular in the game, it doesn't spin it. That's something that you have to do as an observer if you want. Like whenever somebody's defusing, that finally they come up with a timeout. Oh Lord, yeah, it's a bit late, but at least they remember that this is a thing that exists. Because as you said, a lot of teams forget that it's a thing completely. When you talk to their support staff, or when you talk to the IGL, if they don't have any support staff, which is very common in T4, to not have an analyst, to not have a coach, to not have anybody back there, who's completely removed from the game and can see the bigger picture, they just forget about it. They get so into it, they get so immersed into it that they just forget that that's a thing. And it's such a valuable piece of utility, because not only does it deny the momentum of your opponent if they've gained it, but it also allows you to have a breather and, discuss about what's going wrong. And I keep saying this, a lot of the times, it's not even about correcting those mistakes, because sometimes, players will be aware of the mistakes that they're making. They just aren't able to, correct them. And then, it kind of builds up pressure, and then they're just, even less able to do it. So it's just about, getting, them to calm down, giving them a breather. It's like, okay, calm down. You guys are good. You know that you're good. You're undefeated. You can win a match against these guys. Just calm down, breathe. Play the way that you know that you can play it, and the mistakes rectify themselves just because of how these players aren't bad. They know what they're doing. They know how to play this game, and it's just about having being in the right headspace to do that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what the timeout did for them, and they're going to be able to bring this back.
We'll see if it has helped them have time to think about their actions and potentially improve on this next round. And I mean, but like I said, it might be too soon it might be too late for them to use it. I mean, 2 rounds is all Mindset needs. So 2 huge mistakes from the side of Rebuild, and well, their undefeated streak is over. But well, we've still got to see those potential 2 rounds before we can see that result. And this the timeout could have worked. It could work. We'll just have to see. I mean, we're seeing a relatively different operator line. Well, maybe 1 or 2 changes. Charlie J is now on that Flores, who, well, we're seeing him get brought out for the first time, and the stats, I'm pretty sure, show that Flores is the most banned attacker.
By far.
Yeah, I think it's like a 44%. So seeing him in the game and seeing him only now used, it's a little bit interesting. But I mean, the map as a whole, it doesn't really favour Flores in many ways, but they should be able to use him pretty effectively as long as they keep those drones alive. And well, Siberia on the mute is going to be their biggest challenge, of course, getting around those mute jammers. So, yeah, I mean, 30 seconds in, the first Jackal scan's coming in as they're starting to take control of the basement. But as of now, no picks have followed.
No picks are followed, and Archive pushing in under that hatch. That hatch sometimes does get opened up by the defense, and they're holding onto it like a hawk, waiting for somebody to do exactly what Archive did, which is just push straight underneath it. They get their head shot up, and then they're a little bit upset about the way that they died. But Archive stays alive, and will be challenging here up these stairs. But Aki, on top of that hatch inside of the elevator, will be trying to challenge back onto him. He does get spotted out by that Jackal Scan. Has really, really good utility usage there from Archive, but he's going to have two guns staring down at him right now. And if he's not careful, he could be getting taken down, but he's just waiting, forcing them to stare into him or to push into him while he just holds onto that position and denies any sort of rotation to come through those stairs, which means that any player pushing it from the square side can't get flanked up those blue stairs that we see Maiko and Charlie J currently in control of. Siberia instead of Archives could be the next line of defense here for MSG to start getting challenged onto. Very, very clever use of these castle barricades to deny so much of this area and to close down the site. A lot of the times teams will use it to extend, and that is exactly what MSG did, but they sort of used it to deny the extension as well. Hoax finding the kill into Maiko, and Siberia was about to get his head taken off by that player, but he does before he gets a chance, and Nordis finds another one into Nelson. 3 versus 5 now, 45 seconds to go. It's really not looking good as they lose a couple players again. They're still just trying to challenge onto the Archives, but they have so many angles to work with or to think about. And they're still unable to clear out Siberia from this position. They still haven't... He goes for the shield juke. Wow, he goes for the shield juke. Does get shot down. But look at how much time he has wasted. And Hudson finds a really good headshot there onto Mamsu. And Nordis, however, finds the trade again onto Archive. And now it's a 2 versus 3 that can't quite connect onto the player playing inside of that corridor. Charlie J does find one as Hoax does go down, or finds another one onto his teammate. 2 versus 1, or 1 versus 2. Diffuser is called on the ground. He doesn't have time, and with only the pistol, he cannot find any more kills in this round. MSG put themselves on match point at 6-2, and it's really looking grim for Rebuild right now. They are still unable to put themselves in a position where they're able to get those refrags right away. Every single time that a player had died, they weren't able to pick up the trades. They brought it down to 3 versus 3, but only after they spent 30 seconds without 2 players on the board. And then that 3 versus 3 quickly became a 1 versus 3 for Charlie J, and it's just really, really looking grim. And that timeout doesn't seem to have done them any good, which is really disappointing to see.
I don't think it's going to change from now on. It's disappointing to see. I thought we'd get a battle, a back and forth battle, like I mentioned in the first 2 rounds. I thought that this would be a team sort of going back and forth. It's not been the case at all. It's been complete mindset destruction onto Rebuild. They've not really stood a chance for the most part. They've managed to get a couple of picks down the road, but it's not enough. They're just it's impactless frags. Like, you're getting the picks, but it's not really helping you in the round because you end up losing anyway. And I feel like another issue they've got is they're playing what I'd say is the really old meta of just waiting, and then all of the remaining men to start to push site in the very last moment, and it always favours the defense, always, because they've got better positions. All they have to do is hold. You have to push. You have to expect every angle, and it's not really going to work in your favour 9 times out of 10. So that's something that they really need to fix now. Like if they don't do it this second, the game's over for them, and we're going to see Mindset continue to be undefeated. And like I said, at this stage, it seems very likely. Of course, there is a potential. There is a slight glimmer of hope, and it seems Charlie J, he's going to be taking the position that we saw Siberia on that Dokkaebi, on that rappel, with a DMR in hand. Will he be as proficient? We'll just have to see right now, as there's no one peeking him, and well, it seems like they anticipated someone to rappel on this window as they placed the Syria gate right there. He's going to be trying to hit his shots, but no defenders in the way at this moment in time.
Mom's quite late to place that shield on top of the main stairs, which is just going to be another time sink here for the side of Rebuild, as they're going to have to try and push into that after having cleared out, hopefully having cleared out those positions upstairs. But of course, the Habana will be going down. I was going to say the Habana will be opening up those elevator walls, but he gets shut down before he can do any more damage onto those reinforcements. Does get traded out. Finally, the trades come out. But now Charlie J is unable to really do any damage here onto Siberia. Siberia is peeking him with the 45 and just, peeking, wasting time, forcing him to do something. Those Keeper barriers, again, deploying on those shields, or on those walls, denying anything from happening. Siberia finds Archive, rebuild.
Wow. He's just doing so well on the castle at the moment. He got that one tap and he found another pick. And now he's playing a little bit safer in towards the side. Of course, still peeking these aggressive angles. But a minute and 10, and 2 of your members are still repelling outside, and Aki is going to pick up Charlie J. Mako's starting to potentially push his way in. Hodgson still on that rappel, trying to contest this, and it seems like this game is done. It's sealed. I don't think there's any way that they're bringing it back at this point. You've still got a member so far away from making any sort of impact onto the team. He's going to have to potentially go for a Hail Mary down one of these skylights. And what is this? I haven't seen this since I watched Casual. I mean, if it works, it works. It just depends if they hear it. He's going to rappel down to safety instead of sitting up there. And the remaining 2 members going to have to now push their way up the banana stairs, try to contest something. But Nordes knows. He knows something fishy is going on. And he misses all of his shots. But Mako finds Nordes and Aki with the refrag. And all of a sudden, it's Aki to find the final pick. And the mindset, just absolute destruction. Again, just the angles that we saw Rebuild peaking, they were losing the gunfights every time. And the prominent thing that they were doing wrong all game, like you've mentioned multiple times, is not getting those refrags. And when they did get them, they lost the round anyway.
That was... I mean, I predicted overtime, and then it really did not go that way at all. But they were just making too many mistakes, and they weren't rectifying them. The thing is that they weren't even making too many mistakes. That's the thing, is that they were making one mistake that is a really, really big mistake. It's like, this is like, again, at the start of the game, when you asked me about my prediction, and I said, oh well, like both teams were making mistakes, but the ones that MSG were making were a little bit bigger. A lot of the times teams will make continuous small mistakes that can snowball into losing, games, or into losing rounds or losing games. And that was the case for MSG when they played their last game in round 3, where, they lost 5 rounds because their mistakes kept snowballing, and then they managed to bring it back and win it 7-5. But now, Rebuild were playing all right, they were playing decently, but the fact that they were making that really, really big mistake of not being there for the refrags and not being there for the trades, it really came to hurt them, because MSG realized, hey, this isn't something that they are doing. Let's take advantage of that, and they did it perfectly. And Rebuild just had no way to bounce back from that or to counter that. And I really hate that for them. But I hope that they're going to be, that they're going to be looking back at the VOD of this game, and they're going to be looking at it and thinking about how to fix that in the future, and they're going to be more aware of that coming forward. I do think that, despite having lost this game, their 3-1 record so far does secure them a place in the Premier League. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing more of them, and I just hope that they are able to do more coming forward.
I'm just happy I got my prediction, to be honest. I had a feeling, I had a feeling, Sir Edwin. But like you said, it was a coin flip, and I was right, and you were wrong, and I'm happy. Is that petty? Maybe, but you know what? I win. Let's go.
Wow. Okay. Well, before we head off the stream, I do want to try and crown an MVP, which, there were a few players on the side of MSG that did a really, really good job. I don't think, but I don't think that Siberia's contribution can be understated by taking somebody else over him. I mean, it was just so much was happening from the side of Siberia that it was just, if I've ever seen an explosive player, it was Siberia in that game. It was 100%. Every round in, round out. Constantly there for those kills, for those trades, for those picks, and that DMR. I mean, I've never seen that DMR do so much damage. I mean, I know that it does a lot of damage. It does like 50 odd or something like that, but I've never seen it do that much damage onto a team to the point where they've only won 2 rounds. You read my mind. It's the same story for me. He was just so efficient with his shots, so efficient with helping the team, and of course the picks he got, unlike Rebuilds, were impact frags.
and he got them the rounds, and he was there for the trades, he was there for all that, and even if it was just him rappelling on that window, he still made it count. And yeah, that is why we're giving him this the MVP award for the game, not because of his kills, but of his contribution as a whole.
Yeah. But okay, now that we've spoken about the predictions and your pettiness and crowned the MVP, I do think that concludes this game. Unfortunately, there will not be any more streams today. Of course, this one was a little bit later than usual anyway, but there will be more to follow tomorrow. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure to keep those notifications on so that you know when we come live tomorrow. And join us all tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
See you later.